Before we actually get to some of the stories that I want to share with you about the history of science, I want to talk about inquiry in nature science and make sure that we're all on the same page with those ideas. So what is inquiry? This is where I expect audience participation.
Asking questions, investigating.
How else would you characterize inquiry?
Formulating independent answers.
Exploration with explanation as its goal.
Student focused.
I like that you took that a little bit different way, because the first couple answers were more about scientific inquiry, and you seem to be talking more about inquiry as a teaching strategy. How would you characterize inquiry as a teaching strategy? Like, how else would you characterize inquiry as a teaching strategy?
Difficult.
Thinking.
Getting students mentally engaged.
Connecting brain cells.
What was that?
Connecting brain cells.
All right. What skills does inquiry promote?
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
Communication. Problem solving.
I don't know if you guys are hearing all these. Communication, problem solving, critical thinking.
A deeper level of understanding science.
Okay, observations.
Self-assessment.
In what way does inquiry promote self-assessment?
If the student's explanation cannot stand up to other students, their explanation can't hold water with other students, they may learn that they have to go back to the drawing table.
One thing I always tell students when I'm working on, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with something called black box activities, where they're just kind of like puzzles that students figure out, is I never tell them the answer, kind of like the magic trick that I did. I never tell them how I do it for sure. And then I always ask them, who tells a scientist that they're right? And so that self-assessment piece is part of science. You have to evaluate your own ideas against the evidence. So here's some things that I came up with when I was thinking. I'm glad you guys were able to come up with a lot of similarities. So refining questions, identifying questions, data collection, data organization, and of course this would be specifically to scientific inquiry. Drawing conclusions, making inferences, working cooperatively. Somebody said communication, which would be part of working cooperatively. So why should we do inquiry? Like, why is that so heavily shoved down our throats in today's science education world?
Students are
Student-centered learning.
Say that again?
It promotes student-centered learning.
Okay.
It more closely resembles science in the real world.
deeper understanding. Students will be more motivated if they're given more responsibility.
And the skills they pick up can be used not only in science, but in many other things that they're getting into.
Okay. And again, I have some that I came up with. Improved understanding of science content, I believe that was said. Motivating, I believe somebody said that. Multidisciplinary. In what way is inquiry actually, that's what you were kind of talking about, where the skills that they gain in science are in science inquiry that can be used in other areas. And then somebody said it more accurately reflects how real science works. And that's where increased understanding of the nature of science. Nature of science kind of deals with how science works. And we're going to wrestle with what nature of science is here in just a second.